I'll be gone before dinner, Olivia said as she zipped her suitcase. I frowned and bounced Emily gently in my arms. Gone where? Away. I forced a small smile. You always say that after we argue. You'll cool off. She didn't smile back. I mean it this time, Daniel. Emily reached toward her mother and giggled. See, I said. She wants you. Olivia looked at our daughter for barely a second before turning away. Olivia, what's happening? I can't keep living like this. What does that even mean? It means I'm tired. We're both tired. We have a 6-month-old baby. No, she shook her head. I'm tired of this life. I stared at her. Our life. Our tiny house. Your endless overtime. Counting every pound before buying groceries. We've always managed. I don't want to manage anymore. My stomach tightened. Tell me what's really going on. She inhaled slowly. I met someone. The room became silent. What? I met someone else. I laughed because the truth sounded impossible. That's not funny. I'm not joking. Emily started fussing, sensing the tension. I rocked her gently. Who? Marcus Reed. The businessman? Yes. How do you know him? It doesn't matter. It matters to me. I've been seeing him. The words struck harder than any punch. For how long? A few months. A few months. My voice cracked. While I was working late for us? I didn't plan this. You planned enough to hide it. She lowered her eyes. I'm sorry. No, you're not. I didn't mean to hurt you. Then don't. I've already made my choice. My hands trembled around Emily. So that's it. Yes. What about our daughter? I know you'll take care of her. I blinked. That's your answer? You're a good father. And you? She stayed quiet. Say it. I can't be the mother she deserves. You haven't even tried. I don't love you anymore. Every word cut deeper. You promised forever. I was wrong. What did I do? This isn't about you. It feels exactly about me. It's about the life I want. The life Marcus can buy? She didn't deny it. So money wins. It's not only money. Then explain. He makes me feel alive. And what am I? She whispered. Someone I outgrew. Emily began crying loudly. I kissed my daughter's forehead. It's okay, sweetheart. Olivia picked up her suitcase. Please don't make this harder. Harder. I laughed bitterly. You're leaving your baby. I can't stay. You can. I won't. I stepped in front of the door. Look at Emily. She hesitated. Please. She glanced down for only a heartbeat. Emily reached toward her. She needs you. You'll tell her I loved her. I won't lie to her. Tears filled Olivia's eyes. I do love her. Love isn't walking away. I have to go. No. You want to go. She swallowed hard. Move, Daniel. If you leave now, everything changes. I know. You'll miss her first words. Silence. You'll miss her first steps. She gripped the suitcase tighter. You'll miss every birthday. A tear rolled down her cheek. I know. You can still stay. She slowly shook her head. I'm sorry. She opened the door. Cold air rushed inside. I stood frozen. She walked across the garden without looking back. The gate clicked shut. Emily cried harder. I closed the front door and leaned against it. It's just us now, I whispered. I looked around the quiet house. The family photographs suddenly felt like memories instead of promises. My phone buzzed. One message. Marcus. She's with me. Please don't contact her again. I deleted it without replying. Emily wrapped her tiny fingers around mine. I wiped my tears before looking at her. I don't know how to do this, I admitted softly. She sniffled and rested her head against my chest. I held her as tightly as I could. At that moment, my heart broke completely, but I made one silent promise. No matter what happens, I whispered, I'll never leave you. I didn't realize that losing Olivia that afternoon wasn't the end of my life. It was the painful beginning of becoming the father my daughter would always remember. Emily started crying before the sun came up. I'm awake, I whispered, lifting her carefully. You win again, she answered with another loud cry. I know. You're hungry. I warmed her bottle with one hand while holding her against my shoulder. There we go. Breakfast for my favorite girl. She grabbed the bottle and finally became quiet. I smiled. That's better. My phone rang. Ethan. I answered with a tired laugh. If you're calling to ask whether I slept, the answer is no. You sound terrible, Ethan said. I feel worse. You need help. I've got this. You've been saying that for months. I don't have another choice. You always have choices. I don't have family waiting to rescue me. You have me. I stayed silent. Daniel. Thanks. I'm serious. Let me come over tonight. You don't have to. I know. I'm choosing to. Emily burped loudly. Ethan laughed. I heard that. She has perfect timing. I'll bring dinner. You don't need to spend money. I'm bringing food, not diamonds. I laughed for the first time all week. Fine. And promise me something. What? If you feel like giving up, call me first. I won't give up. Good. I can't. After work, I rushed to the nursery. Mrs. Brooks was rocking Emily gently. There you are, she said. I'm sorry I'm late. You've apologized every day. I still feel guilty. She smiled kindly. She's been wonderful. Emily reached toward me. Hello, sweetheart. Mrs. Brooks handed her over. You look exhausted, Daniel. I am. When did you last eat properly? I thought for a moment. I honestly don't remember. She frowned. That's not acceptable. I'll survive. You aren't raising Emily by surviving. I know. You need strength. I'll do better. She touched my arm gently. I lost my husband many years ago. I'm sorry. I learned something. What? Children don't need perfect parents. They don't. They need parents who stay. Her words settled deep inside me. I'll never leave her. I believe you. When I reached home, Ethan was already waiting outside with 2 paper bags. You actually came. I said I would. He walked inside. The kitchen looked like a disaster. He stared around. Daniel. I know. When did you last clean? I don't know. When did you last sleep? I don't know. When did you last think about yourself? I don't know. He sighed. Sit. I should clean. Sit. I obeyed. He unpacked soup, bread, fruit, and baby supplies. You bought nappies? You needed them. You shouldn't have. I wanted to. Emily giggled from her chair. Ethan waved. Hey, little boss. She laughed louder. See? He said. She already likes me more. Impossible. I brought snacks. That's cheating. We both laughed. Then he looked at me seriously. Have you heard from Olivia? I shook my head. Nothing. No calls? No. No messages? No. No money? Not a penny. He clenched his jaw. I can't believe she abandoned both of you. I stopped asking why. Do you still wait? His question hurt. I looked at Emily. Every evening. And every morning? A little less. You deserve better. I don't care about me anymore. You should. I only care about her. You can care about both. I'll learn. He nodded. I believe you will. That weekend, Emily developed a fever. I rushed her to the hospital. The nurse smiled gently. First baby. Is it obvious? A little. I'm terrified. That's normal. Will she be okay? The doctor will check her soon. I kissed Emily's forehead. I'm here. She reached for my finger. The doctor examined her carefully. It's only a mild infection. I released a breath I didn't know I was holding. So she'll recover? Yes. Thank you. On the way home, I whispered, You scared me today. Emily blinked before falling asleep. Days became weeks. Weeks became months. Every morning brought another challenge. Every evening ended with another lesson. I learned how to braid tiny strands of hair that barely existed. I learned which lullaby made Emily stop crying. I learned that cold coffee still tasted fine when there wasn't time to make another cup. Most importantly, I learned that love wasn't measured by grand promises. It was measured by showing up every single day. Olivia never called. She never asked about birthdays. She never wondered whether Emily had spoken her first word. She never sent a birthday card. She never knocked on my door. First, I kept hoping. Then I kept wondering. Finally, I simply stopped waiting. One afternoon, Emily smiled at me after taking her first shaky steps across the living room. I caught her before she fell. "There you go," I laughed. "You did it." She clapped happily. Tears filled my eyes. "I saw your first steps." She hugged my neck. In that quiet moment, I understood something that changed me forever. I hadn't become both parents because I wanted to. I had become both parents because my daughter deserved someone who would always choose her. And every time she smiled at me, I knew I had made the right choice. Emily started crying before the sun came up. "I'm awake," I whispered, lifting her carefully. "You win again," she answered with another loud cry. "I know. You're hungry." I warmed her bottle with one hand while holding her against my shoulder. "There we go. Breakfast for my favorite girl." She grabbed the bottle and finally became quiet. I smiled. "That's better." My phone rang. "Ethan," I answered with a tired laugh. "If you're calling to ask whether I slept, the answer is no." "You sound terrible," Ethan said. "I feel worse." "You need help." "I've got this." "You've been saying that for months." "I don't have another choice." "You always have choices." "I don't have family waiting to rescue me." "You have me." I stayed silent. "Daniel." "Thanks. I'm serious. Let me come over tonight." "You don't have to." "I know. I'm choosing to." Emily burped loudly. Ethan laughed. "I heard that. She has perfect timing." "I'll bring dinner." "You don't need to spend money." "I'm bringing food, not diamonds." I laughed for the first time all week. "Fine. And promise me something." "What?" "If you feel like giving up, call me first." "I won't give up." "Good. I can't." After work, I rushed to the nursery. Mrs. Brooks was rocking Emily gently. "There you are," she said. "I'm sorry I'm late. You've apologized every day." "I still feel guilty." She smiled kindly. "She's been wonderful." Emily reached toward me. "Hello, sweetheart." Mrs. Brooks handed her over. "You look exhausted, Daniel." "I am." "When did you last eat properly?" I thought for a moment. "I honestly don't remember." She frowned. "That's not acceptable." "I'll survive." "You aren't raising Emily by surviving." "I know. You need strength." "I'll do better." She touched my arm gently. "I lost my husband many years ago." "I'm sorry." "I learned something." "What?" "Children don't need perfect parents." "They don't. They need parents who stay." Her words settled deep inside me. "I'll never leave her." "I believe you." When I reached home, Ethan was already waiting outside with 2 paper bags. "You actually came." "I said I would." He walked inside. The kitchen looked like a disaster. He stared around. "Daniel." "I know." "When did you last clean?" "I don't know." "When did you last sleep?" "I don't know." "When did you last think about yourself?" "I don't know." He sighed. "Sit." "I should clean." "Sit." I obeyed. He unpacked soup, bread, fruit, and baby supplies. "You bought nappies?" "You needed them." "You shouldn't have." "I wanted to." Emily giggled from her chair. Ethan waved. "Hey, little boss." She laughed louder. "See?" he said. "She already likes me more." "Impossible." "I brought snacks." "That's cheating." We both laughed. Then he looked at me seriously. "Have you heard from Olivia?" I shook my head. "Nothing." "No calls?" "No." "No messages?" "No." "No money?" "Not a penny." He clenched his jaw. "I can't believe she abandoned both of you." I stopped asking why. "Do you still wait?" His question hurt. I looked at Emily. "Every evening." "And every morning?" "A little less." "You deserve better." I don't care about me anymore. You should. I only care about her. You can care about both. I'll learn. He nodded. I believe you will. That weekend, Emily developed a fever. I rushed her to the hospital. The nurse smiled gently. First baby. Is it obvious? A little. I'm terrified. That's normal. Will she be okay? The doctor will check her soon. I kissed Emily's forehead. I'm here. She reached for my finger. The doctor examined her carefully. It's only a mild infection. I released a breath I didn't know I was holding. So she'll recover? Yes. Thank you. On the way home, I whispered, You scared me today. Emily blinked before falling asleep. Days became weeks. Weeks became months. Every morning brought another challenge. Every evening ended with another lesson. I learned how to braid tiny strands of hair that barely existed. I learned which lullaby made Emily stop crying. I learned that cold coffee still tasted fine when there wasn't time to make another cup. Most importantly, I learned that love wasn't measured by grand promises. It was measured by showing up every single day. Olivia never called. She never asked about birthdays. She never wondered whether Emily had spoken her first word. She never sent a birthday card. She never knocked on my door. First, I kept hoping. Then I kept wondering. Finally, I simply stopped waiting. One afternoon, Emily smiled at me after taking her first shaky steps across the living room. I caught her before she fell. There you go, I laughed. You did it. She clapped happily. Tears filled my eyes. I saw your first steps. She hugged my neck. In that quiet moment, I understood something that changed me forever. I hadn't become both parents because I wanted to. I had become both parents because my daughter deserved someone who would always choose her. And every time she smiled at me, I knew I had made the right choice. The knock came just as I finished washing the dinner dishes. Daddy, Emily called from the living room. Can we build the castle now? I smiled. In 1 minute, sweetheart. Another knock echoed through the house. I'm coming. I wiped my hands on a towel and walked to the front door. When I opened it, my breath caught in my throat. Daniel. I stared without speaking. The woman standing on my doorstep looked familiar, yet completely different. Her expensive clothes were gone. The confidence that had once filled her eyes had disappeared. Dark circles rested beneath them, and her hands trembled around the strap of an old handbag. Olivia. She nodded slowly. It's me. For several seconds, I couldn't move. I know I don't deserve to stand here. No, I answered quietly. You don't. She lowered her eyes. I've thought about this moment every day. I haven't. She looked surprised. I stopped imagining you would come back a long time ago. I know. So why are you here? She swallowed hard. I want to see Emily. Hearing my daughter's name from her lips felt strange. You walked away from her. I know. You never called. I know. You never sent a birthday card. I know. You never asked if she was healthy. Tears filled her eyes. I know. So why today? I couldn't stay away anymore. I shook my head. You stayed away for 3 years. I was ashamed. You weren't ashamed when you left. She couldn't answer. The silence stretched between us. Then I heard small footsteps. Daddy. Emily walked into the hallway holding her stuffed rabbit. Who are you talking to? I looked down at her. Sweetheart. She peeked around my leg. Olivia smiled through her tears. Hello, Emily. Emily blinked. She studied Olivia carefully. I watched hope slowly appear on Olivia's face. Then Emily asked the question that stopped time. Daddy. Yes. Who is she? Olivia's smile faded. I felt my chest tighten. Emily looked back at the woman standing outside. Do we know her? I couldn't find the words. Olivia knelt carefully until she was closer to Emily's height. Her voice broke. I'm your mummy. Emily frowned. My mummy? Yes. Emily looked at me. Daddy. She's saying something funny. I swallowed hard. Olivia reached out carefully. May I hold your hand? Emily stepped behind me instead. No. It's all right, I whispered. Olivia slowly lowered her hand. I brought you something. She opened her bag and pulled out a small teddy bear. I bought this for you. Emily looked at it but didn't move. Daddy? Yes. I already have Mr. Rabbit. You do. I don't need another one. Olivia closed her eyes for a moment. I missed all your birthdays. Emily tilted her head. My birthday was with Daddy. I know. He made me a pink cake. I'm glad. And Grandma Brooks made cookies. Olivia smiled sadly. That sounds wonderful. It was. Emily hugged my leg. Daddy always reads me stories. I'm sure he does. And he checks for monsters. I'll always check, I said softly. Emily nodded. He says monsters don't win. Olivia looked at me with tears running down her face. You kept every promise. I kept the ones that mattered. She wiped her cheeks. I don't expect forgiveness. I wasn't planning to give it. I deserve that. No. I looked directly into her eyes. You deserve to understand what you threw away. She nodded silently. I've spent every day understanding it. Emily tugged gently on my sleeve. Daddy, what is it, sweetheart? Why is she crying? I took a slow breath. Sometimes grown-ups cry when they realize they made a very big mistake. Emily looked back at Olivia. Did you make a mistake? Olivia covered her mouth. Yes. A really big one? The biggest. Emily thought quietly for a few seconds. Then she asked the question that shattered whatever hope Olivia still carried. If you're my mummy. She hesitated. Where were you when I had my bad fever? Olivia couldn't answer. Emily continued. Where were you when Daddy stayed awake all night? Silence. Where were you when I learned to ride my little bike? Olivia looked at the ground. I wasn't there. No. Emily hugged me tightly. Daddy was. I wrapped my arm around my daughter. I'll always be here. Emily looked at Olivia one last time. I'm sorry you're sad. Those simple words made Olivia cry even harder. I don't want you to be sad, Emily whispered. But I don't know you. The air felt painfully still. No angry speech could have hurt Olivia more than my daughter's honest innocence. 3 years earlier, Olivia had believed she was walking toward a better life. Now she stood on my doorstep as a stranger to the little girl she had given birth to. I looked at the woman I had once loved with everything I had. The anger that had lived inside me for years suddenly felt smaller than the heartbreak in front of me. I finally understood something. Revenge could never equal this moment. Watching my own daughter ask her mother, "Who are you?" was a punishment that no court, no argument, and no act of vengeance could ever match. None of us spoke. The silence between us carried more truth than words ever could. I stood at the doorway for several long seconds before finally speaking. What do you want, Olivia? She wiped her eyes. I don't expect you to forgive me. Good. I only want a chance to explain. I looked down at Emily. Sweetheart, can you take Mr. Rabbit to your room for a few minutes? She looked up at me. Will you come too? I'll be there soon. Promise. I promise. She nodded and ran upstairs. The front door remained open. I stepped aside. You have 5 minutes. Olivia walked inside slowly. She looked around the living room. You painted the walls. Emily chose the color. I remember when we talked about doing that. We talked about many things. She lowered her head. I know. I pointed to a chair. Sit. She obeyed. I stayed standing. You wanted to explain. She took a deep breath. The life I thought I wanted never existed. I crossed my arms. Go on. Marcus wasn't the man I believed he was. I guessed that. He promised me everything. And he lied. I didn't answer. He bought expensive gifts at first. I don't care about gifts. I know. He said I'd never worry about money again. What happened? He controlled everything. She twisted her hands together. He decided where I went. I stayed silent. He decided who I could speak to. My expression didn't change. If I questioned him, he called me ungrateful. I remembered the confident woman who had walked away. She looked nothing like that person now. I kept telling myself things would improve. They didn't. No. She looked directly at me. They became worse. How? He insulted me every day. I said nothing. He reminded me that I had abandoned my family. I looked away. He said a woman who could leave her husband and baby would leave anyone. The room became quiet. He never trusted me. Could you blame him? Her shoulders dropped. No, she continued softly. Last year he met someone younger. And he left you. Yes, the same way you left us. A tear slid down her cheek. Yes, I leaned against the wall. So karma finally found you. I think it did. She looked around the room again. I thought about Emily every single day. Thinking isn't parenting. I know. I changed her nappies. She nodded silently. I stayed awake through every fever. I know. I celebrated every birthday. I know. I taught her to say please and thank you. I know. You missed all of it. She covered her face. I know. I waited until she lowered her hands. What about your father? She laughed bitterly. My father cared more about our family name than me. Richard Bennett. She nodded. When Marcus left me, I went home. And my father refused to let me stay. What did he say? He said I had embarrassed the Bennett family. She swallowed hard. He told me I had chosen my future 3 years earlier. I stared at her. He closed the door in my face. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then she whispered, I finally understood how you must have felt. I took a slow breath. It took losing everything for you to understand. Yes. And now, she looked toward the staircase. I want to know my daughter. You mean the daughter you abandoned? Yes. You expect me to pretend nothing happened? No. You expect Emily to call you Mom? No. What do you expect? She hesitated. A chance. That's all. A chance to earn what I threw away. I laughed quietly. You can't earn back 3 years. I know. You can't replace birthdays. I know. You can't hug her after nightmares that already happened. I know. Her voice became smaller with every answer. I know. The front door opened softly. Sarah stepped inside carrying a baking dish. I made too much shepherd's pie. She stopped when she saw Olivia. Oh, I smiled weakly. Bad timing. Sarah looked between us. I can come back. No, Olivia said. You should stay. Sarah placed the dish on the table. I'll only stay if Daniel wants me here. I do. She stood beside me. Without saying anything, her quiet support gave me strength. Olivia noticed. She's important to you. She's my friend. Sarah looked at Olivia calmly. I've known Emily for a long time. I can see she loves you. I love her too. Olivia nodded. I don't blame you. Sarah folded her arms gently. May I say something? Olivia looked at her. Of course. Sarah's voice stayed calm. I believe people can change. Hope appeared in Olivia's eyes. Then Sarah continued. But children shouldn't carry the cost of proving it. Olivia's smile disappeared. I understand. Sarah looked at me. Whatever you decide, make sure it's for Emily. I will. Not because you feel guilty. I won't. Not because you still love someone. I looked at Olivia. I don't. Sarah nodded. Good. Silence filled the room. Finally, Olivia stood. I don't want to be your wife again. I know. I only want the chance to become Emily's mother. I closed my eyes for a moment. Part of me remembered the woman I had loved. Another part remembered the baby who cried herself to sleep while I held her alone. My heart wanted to believe people could change. My memories reminded me how easily Olivia had walked away. As I heard Emily laughing upstairs, I realized every decision I made from this moment forward would shape my daughter's future. For the first time since Olivia returned, I truly understood that the hardest battle ahead wasn't against the past. It was choosing whether protecting Emily meant keeping the door closed forever. I thought Olivia would accept my answer after leaving my house. I was wrong. 3 days later, someone knocked on my door again. When I opened it, a man in a gray suit held out an envelope. Mr. Daniel Carter? Yes. You've been served. What is this? Court papers. My stomach tightened. He nodded politely before walking away. I closed the door and opened the envelope. My hands shook as I read the first page. Application for shared custody. Daddy. Emily walked into the hallway holding her coloring book. Are you sad? I forced a smile. No, sweetheart. You made the sad face. I'm just thinking. She hugged my leg. You always feel better after hugs. I lifted her into my arms. You're right. She kissed my cheek. I fixed it. You always do. That evening, Ethan arrived after I called him. He read every page slowly. So she's taking this to court. Yes. What will you do? I'll fight. You should. I don't want revenge. I know. I only want Emily to feel safe. Ethan folded the papers. Then don't let anyone make this about winning. It already feels like a battle. It is. A week later, I walked into the family courtroom. Emily stayed with Mrs. Brooks. I didn't want her hearing adults argue over her life. Olivia sat across the room beside her solicitor. She looked nervous. When our eyes met, she whispered, I'm sorry. I looked away. A court officer opened the door. Please enter. I took a slow breath and walked inside. The judge smiled politely. Good morning. I'm Judge Amelia Collins. Good morning, I replied. She looked at both of us. We're here because Miss Olivia Bennett has applied for shared custody of Emily Carter. Olivia nodded. Yes, Your Honor. Judge Collins looked at me. Mr. Carter? I'm here to protect my daughter. She nodded thoughtfully. That is exactly what this court expects from both parents. The hearing began. Olivia's solicitor stood first. My client accepts she made serious mistakes. I stayed silent. She regrets leaving her child. Judge Collins asked, What has changed? Olivia stood. I've changed. The judge watched her carefully. Explain. I believed money would make me happy. She looked towards me. I was wrong. Judge Collins nodded. And now, I want to rebuild a relationship with my daughter. The judge turned towards me. Mr. Carter? I stood slowly. I won't lie. She waited patiently. I'm still angry. I appreciate your honesty. I don't hate Olivia. She raised an eyebrow. But I don't trust her. Why? Because Emily trusted me every single day while her mother chose another life. The courtroom became quiet. I carried my daughter through fevers. I looked at Olivia. I celebrated every birthday. My voice became unsteady. I answered every nightmare. Judge Collins listened without interrupting. I never stopped being her father. She nodded gently. What concerns you most? I answered without hesitation. Emily doesn't know Olivia. Do you believe that relationship can change? Maybe. Then why oppose contact? Because Emily deserves stability before hope. The judge wrote something on her notes. I understand. Olivia quietly wiped away tears. My client has another witness, her solicitor said. The door opened. A young woman stepped inside. She smiled politely. I'm Lily Thompson. Judge Collins looked at her. What is your role? I'm Emily's preschool teacher. She promised to tell the truth before sitting down. The solicitor asked, How would you describe Emily? She's cheerful. And she's kind. He smiled. Does she ever speak about her parents? Every day. My heart tightened. What does she say? Lily looked at me kindly. She always talks about her dad. I lowered my eyes. Does she mention her mother? Lily paused. Only once. What happened? Another child asked where Emily's mummy was. The room became completely still. Judge Collins leaned forward. What did Emily say? Lily took a slow breath. She said, I don't have one. I only have my daddy because he never leaves me. I closed my eyes. Hearing those words spoken aloud hurt more than I expected. Olivia began crying quietly. Her solicitor handed her a tissue. Judge Collins remained calm. Miss Thompson, how attached is Emily to her father? Lily answered immediately. He is her safe place. What do you mean? When she feels frightened, she asks for him. When she's happy, she wants to tell him first. When she's sick, she cries for him. Lily looked directly at the judge. I've worked with many children. Judge Collins nodded. And I've never seen a child trust one parent more deeply. The courtroom fell silent again. Judge Collins folded her hands. This case is not about punishing anyone. She looked at Olivia. It is not about rewarding regret. Then she looked at me. And it is not about rewarding sacrifice. She paused before continuing. It is about one little girl. Nobody spoke. Judge Collins closed the file in front of her. I will carefully consider everything I've heard today. I looked towards Olivia. For the first time, neither of us felt like opponents. We were simply two broken adults standing before the law because of choices that could never be undone. As I walked out of the courtroom, I made myself one final promise. No matter what decision came next, I would keep fighting. Not against Olivia, but for the little girl waiting at home, the one who had never asked to become the center of a battle no child should ever have to face. I never imagined that the hardest meeting of my life would take place inside a small family room filled with children's books and colorful toys. Emily sat beside me, holding my hand tightly. Daddy. Yes, sweetheart. Why are we here? We're meeting someone. Who? You'll see in a minute. She nodded and leaned against my shoulder. The door opened. Olivia walked inside carrying 2 large gift bags. She smiled nervously. Hello, Emily. Emily looked at me before answering. Hello. Olivia slowly sat across from us. I brought you some presents. Emily looked at the bags. For me? Yes. Olivia pulled out a beautiful doll. I hope you like her. Emily smiled politely. Thank you. Then Olivia handed her a giant teddy bear. And this one. Emily hugged it carefully. He's soft. I'm glad. She continued taking toys from the bag. A coloring set. Puzzle. A storybook. Pink backpack. Emily thanked her for every gift. You're very polite, Olivia whispered. Daddy taught me. My heart ached. Olivia looked at me before smiling sadly. I'm sure he did. Emily placed every gift neatly beside her chair. She stayed quiet for several seconds. Then she looked directly at Olivia. Can I ask you something? Olivia nodded quickly. Of course. Emily spoke so softly that the room became completely silent. Why weren't you here when I was sick? Nobody moved. Olivia opened her mouth. No words came out. Emily continued. I had a really bad fever. I remembered those endless nights. I was scared. Olivia covered her mouth. Emily waited. You weren't there. A tear rolled down Olivia's cheek. I'm sorry. Emily tilted her head. Daddy stayed awake all night. I looked away, trying to hide my emotions. He held my hand. Olivia whispered. I know. He carried me to the doctor. I know. He made funny faces so I wouldn't cry. I know. Emily hugged her teddy bear. Where were you? Olivia closed her eyes. I made a terrible mistake. Emily looked confused. What mistake? I left. Why? I thought something else was more important. Emily frowned. More important than me? Olivia broke down crying. No. Then why? I was selfish. The room fell silent again. Emily looked at me. Daddy? Yes. Did I do something wrong? I immediately knelt beside her. No, sweetheart. Then why did she leave? You didn't do anything wrong. Promise. I promise. Emily wrapped both arms around my neck. I don't want strangers taking me away. I held her close. No one is taking you anywhere. She whispered into my shoulder. I want to go home. We will. She tightened her hug. Home is with you. I closed my eyes. Those simple words hit me harder than anything else. Olivia quietly cried across the room. Emily peeked toward her again. I'm sorry you're crying. Olivia wiped her face. You don't have to be sorry. I don't like it when people cry. I know. Emily hesitated. I don't know you. Olivia nodded slowly. I understand. I know Daddy. I know. I know Grandma Brooks. I know. I know Uncle Ethan. I know. I know Miss Sarah. I know. Emily looked down at the new toys. I don't know you. Olivia's shoulders shook as she cried harder. For the first time since returning, she finally understood what 3 years had taken from her. No expensive gift could replace bedtime stories. No teddy bear could replace comforting a frightened child. No apology could recover birthdays already missed. Motherhood wasn't built by giving birth. It was built through ordinary mornings, sleepless nights, scraped knees, bedtime kisses, school runs, warm hugs, and promises that were never broken. I looked at Olivia and saw the truth written across her face. She wasn't fighting to win anymore. She was mourning everything she had willingly abandoned. The supervisor quietly stepped forward. I think that's enough for today. Olivia nodded. I agree. She slowly stood. Before leaving, she looked at Emily one last time. Thank you for talking to me. Emily gave a small wave. Goodbye. Olivia turned toward me. I finally understand. I didn't answer. There isn't a punishment greater than hearing my own daughter call me a stranger. I watched her walk to the door. She stopped without turning around. I don't expect forgiveness anymore. Then she quietly left. The room felt strangely empty. Emily climbed onto my lap. Daddy? Yes. Can we go home now? I smiled through tears. Yes. She rested her head against my chest. I love you. I love you too. As I carried her to the car, I realized something I had never fully understood before. Love was never proved by the day someone became a parent. Love was proved by every ordinary day they chose to stay. The courtroom stayed silent as Judge Amelia Collins looked at both of us. I've reached my decision. I held my breath. Olivia sat with her hands folded tightly together. Judge Collins spoke calmly. Emily will remain in the full custody of her father, Daniel Carter. I closed my eyes for a moment. The weight on my chest finally became lighter. The judge continued. Miss Bennett will be allowed supervised visits, so she may slowly rebuild a relationship with her daughter. Olivia nodded through tears. Thank you, Your Honor. Judge Collins looked directly at her. This is not a reward. I understand. It is an opportunity. Yes. What happens next depends on your actions. I won't waste it. Judge Collins turned toward me. Mr. Carter. Yes, Your Honor? You've clearly devoted yourself to your daughter. She's my world. I can see that. She smiled gently. I hope, in time, this arrangement brings peace instead of more pain. So do I. The hearing ended. People quietly gathered their papers. I expected to feel victorious. Instead, I felt strangely calm. There was no excitement, no celebration, no desire to tell anyone that I had won. As I walked into the corridor, I heard soft footsteps behind me. Daniel. I turned around. Olivia stood a few feet away. I won't keep you long. I waited. Thank you. I frowned. For what? For not trying to erase me completely. I didn't do it for you. I know. I did it for Emily. She nodded. I'll spend the rest of my life proving I deserve this chance. I looked at her tired face. 3 years ago, she had walked away believing she had found a better future. Now she stood alone with no husband, no family beside her, and no certainty that her own daughter would ever trust her. Life had already judged her more harshly than I ever could. I hope you mean what you said. I do. I won't stop protecting Emily. I know. If you hurt her again, I won't. She lowered her eyes. I can't undo the past. No. But maybe I can become someone better. I hope you do. She smiled sadly. Goodbye, Daniel. Goodbye, Olivia. I watched her walk down the long corridor. Nobody waited for her. Nobody celebrated with her. Nobody called her name. She disappeared through the courthouse doors completely alone. I didn't feel happy watching her leave. I only felt tired. Outside the building, Sarah waited beside her car. She smiled when she saw me. How did it go? It's over. And Emily stays with me. Sarah let out a relieved breath. I'm so glad. Olivia gets supervised visits. Sarah nodded slowly. I think that's fair. So do I. She studied my face. You're quieter than I expected. I thought I'd feel different. Different how? I imagined winning would feel amazing. And does it? I shook my head. It just feels peaceful. Sarah smiled warmly. Sometimes healing doesn't sound like cheering. I looked at her. What does it sound like? She stepped closer. It sounds like finally breathing without carrying yesterday on your shoulders. Her words settled deep inside me. I don't hate Olivia anymore. That's a big step. I don't forgive what she did. You don't have to. But I don't want revenge either. Sarah nodded. Maybe that's because life already gave everyone exactly what they needed. I thought about Olivia walking away alone. She had once believed I would always be waiting if things went wrong. She had been wrong. Not because I wanted revenge. Because life had moved forward without her. I looked up at the clear afternoon sky. For years I had carried anger like a heavy backpack that never left my shoulders. Without even noticing, I had finally put it down. Sarah touched my arm gently. What are you thinking? I smiled. I think I'm free. You are. For the first time in years, I'm not looking behind me. She smiled back. Then keep looking ahead. I nodded. I will. I climbed into my car and started the engine. Emily was waiting at home. She didn't care about court orders, legal papers, or old regrets. She only cared that I would walk through the front door, lift her into my arms, and ask about her day. As I drove home, I realized something simple but powerful. Karma doesn't always arrive with loud words or dramatic endings. Sometimes it arrives quietly, closes one chapter, opens another, and leaves you with the greatest gift of all, the chance to live without bitterness. 6 months passed more quietly than I expected. Every Saturday, I drove Emily to the family center. Every Saturday, Olivia was already waiting. She never arrived late. She never missed a visit. One morning, Emily looked at me before getting out of the car. Daddy. Yes, sweetheart. Will you still be here? I smiled. I'll be right outside. You promise. I always keep my promises. She hugged me. I know. When the visit ended, she ran back into my arms. Did you have fun? I asked. She nodded. We colored pictures. That sounds nice. Mummy helped me draw a butterfly. I looked at her carefully. Did you enjoy that? I did. She paused for a moment. But I wanted to show you first. I laughed softly. I'm happy you did. As the weeks passed, I noticed small changes. Emily no longer hid behind me when Olivia entered the room. She answered her questions. She smiled sometimes. She even laughed together with her. Still, whenever she felt unsure, she searched for me first. One afternoon, she reached for my hand. Daddy, I'm here. I know. Those 2 words meant everything. Olivia walked over slowly. Daniel. Yes. Thank you. For what? For giving me the chance to earn her trust. I looked at Emily playing nearby. I'm giving Emily the chance. Olivia nodded. I understand. And trust isn't a gift. I know. It's something you build. I'll keep trying. I hope you do. She smiled gently before returning to Emily. I watched them from a distance. The anger that once lived inside me had quietly disappeared. I hadn't forgotten the past. I never would. But forgiveness wasn't pretending nothing had happened. Forgiveness was refusing to let yesterday decide tomorrow. One evening, Sarah knocked on my front door. I brought dinner. You always know when I've forgotten to cook. She laughed. I also brought dessert. Emily cheered. Miss Sarah. Sarah smiled. Hello, little superstar. Emily hugged her. Stay with us. I'd like that. We ate together, laughed together, and listened to Emily tell the longest story imaginable about butterflies, dinosaurs, and princesses. When Emily finally fell asleep, Sarah helped me clear the table. She looked around the house. It feels different here. How? It feels warm. I smiled. It finally feels like home. She looked at me. You've changed. I think I have. You don't carry the same sadness anymore. I stopped carrying the past. She smiled softly. I'm proud of you. Thank you. For what? For reminding me that healing doesn't happen all at once. She reached over and gently squeezed my hand. You did the hard part. I looked toward Emily's bedroom. My happiness was never waiting for someone to come back. Sarah followed my eyes. No, it was already here. She smiled. I know. I realized then that my home no longer felt empty. It was already filled with laughter, trust, second chances, and the love of the little girl who had changed my life. I couldn't recover what I had lost years ago. I didn't need to. My future was no longer waiting behind me. It was already waiting at home. The morning of Emily's 4th birthday began with laughter instead of tears. Daddy! I looked up from the kitchen. What is it, birthday girl? Can I wear the blue dress? You can wear whichever one makes you smile the most. She held up 2 dresses. This one or this one? The blue one. I wanted that one too. She laughed and ran upstairs. I smiled to myself. For years earlier, I had believed birthdays would always remind me of what I had lost. Instead, they reminded me of everything I still had. By noon, the garden was decorated with balloons and paper streamers. Mrs. Brooks arrived first carrying a homemade cake. I hope the birthday girl is hungry. Emily hugged her. I've been hungry all morning. Mrs. Brooks laughed. I can tell. Ethan walked through the gate next. I brought the world's biggest box. Emily gasped. Is it for me? It certainly isn't for Daniel. I laughed. Thanks. A few minutes later, Sarah arrived holding a small flower pot. Emily looked confused. It's not a toy. Sarah knelt beside her. No. What is it? It's a sunflower. Emily smiled. Will it grow? If you look after it. I will. Sarah looked at me. I thought it would remind her that good things grow slowly. It already reminds me of something. What? Us. She smiled softly. Before either of us could say anything else, another car stopped outside. The garden became quiet. Olivia stepped out alone. She wasn't carrying expensive shopping bags. She held a small package wrapped in brown paper. She walked towards us slowly. Happy birthday, Emily. Emily smiled politely. Thank you. Olivia handed her the package. I made this. You made it. Yes. Emily carefully opened the paper. Inside was a small scrapbook. Every page held drawings, handwritten letters, and photographs from the supervised visits they had shared over the past months. Emily turned each page slowly. You drew these? I did. Emily smiled. They're pretty. I'm glad you like them. There aren't any toys. Olivia nodded. I thought maybe memories were more important. Emily hugged the scrapbook against her chest. I like it. Olivia smiled through wet eyes. That's all I hoped for. The afternoon filled with games, music, and laughter. For the first time in years, everyone stood in the same garden without shouting, blaming, or crying. Mrs. Brooks poured tea. Ethan chased Emily around the lawn. Sarah helped decorate the cake. Olivia quietly joined wherever she could without pushing herself forward. She no longer tried to become the center of Emily's attention. She simply stayed present. Watching that change taught me more than any apology ever had. When it was finally time to cut the cake, Ethan grinned. I have a question. Emily looked up. What? You know everyone here. I do. So tell me. He pointed around the garden. Who is everybody? Emily laughed. That's easy. She pointed at Mrs. Brooks. She's Grandma Brooks because she gives the best cookies. Mrs. Brooks wiped away a happy tear. Emily pointed at Ethan. That's Uncle Ethan. Ethan bowed dramatically. I accept this important title. Everyone laughed. Emily pointed at me. That's my daddy. She smiled so brightly that I felt my heart almost burst. He's my superhero. I couldn't speak. She ran over and hugged me tightly. You always keep your promises. I always will. She kissed my cheek. I know. Then she pointed at Sarah. That's my best friend. Sarah laughed. Only your friend? Emily thought for a second. And she gives the warmest hugs. Sarah opened her arms. I think I owe you one now. Emily happily hugged her. Finally, Ethan looked at Olivia. What about her? The garden became completely silent. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Olivia didn't look up. She seemed afraid of the answer. Emily looked at her for several long seconds. I saw the little girl thinking carefully. She wasn't confused anymore. She wasn't frightened anymore. She simply wanted to answer honestly. Finally, she spoke. She paused. Someone who's trying. Silence filled the garden. Olivia covered her mouth. Fresh tears rolled down her cheeks. She nodded slowly. Thank you. Emily tilted her head. For what? For seeing that. Emily smiled. Daddy says trying is important. I laughed quietly. I do say that. Emily looked at Olivia again. You weren't here before. I know. But you come now. I'll keep coming. You have to. I will. Emily held out her small hand. You can sit by me. Olivia looked at me before accepting. I nodded once. She sat beside Emily without saying another word. No grand speech. No dramatic apology. Just quiet gratitude. After the party ended, everyone slowly went home. Mrs. Brooks hugged Emily goodbye. Ethan promised to visit again next weekend. Olivia thanked every person before leaving. When she reached the gate, she turned towards me. Daniel. Yes. I don't expect you to forget. I won't. I don't expect you to trust me completely. I can't. She nodded. But thank you for letting me become part of her life again. You still have a long road ahead. I know. And every step depends on what you do next. I understand. She smiled gently. This time, I'll earn every step. She walked away quietly. I watched her disappear down the street. There was no anger inside me anymore. There was sadness. There was acceptance. There was peace. Sarah stood beside me. You all right? I smiled. I think so. You've changed. I had to. She looked towards the house where Emily was laughing through the open window. You built something beautiful. I didn't do it alone. No. She smiled. But you never stopped showing up. I looked through the window. Emily was sitting on the floor with her scrapbook open beside the birthday presents. She wasn't comparing gifts. She was reading Olivia's handwritten letters. One page made her smile. Another made her laugh. Then she carefully placed the scrapbook beside Mr. Rabbit, as though it had already become something precious. I realized that forgiveness wasn't pretending the past never happened. It wasn't giving someone permission to escape responsibility. It was refusing to let yesterday steal tomorrow. Olivia could never erase the years she had missed. She knew that. I knew that. Emily would know that one day too. But she also knew something many adults forget. People are remembered less for the promises they make than for the choices they repeat. As I carried Emily upstairs that evening, she wrapped her arms around my neck. Daddy. Yes. Today was my best birthday. I'm glad. Will you always stay with me? I kissed her forehead. Always. She smiled sleepily. I knew you'd say that. I tucked her into bed. She reached for my hand. I love you. I love you more than words can ever say. She closed her eyes. Within minutes, she was asleep. I stood quietly in the doorway. For years earlier, I had believed my life had ended when Olivia walked away. Couldn't have been more wrong. My greatest victory was never watching someone else lose everything. It was becoming the father my daughter never had to question. She never forgot who stayed. Neither did I. And as I turned off the bedroom light and quietly closed the door, I finally understood the simplest truth of all. Love is never built by promises. Love is built by showing up every ordinary day without ever walking away.